Hi everybody. The graphic novel I'm going to analyze for this assignment is called Fairies Wide Awake, and this is cute. The creative team is formed by Bill Willingham, Matthew Sturge, with are the writers. Bill Willingham, especially is the creator. Then Phil Jimenez, Andy Lanning, Steve Sadowski, Mark Farmer, Andrew Pepoy, Sean McManus are the artists. Andrew Dollhouse and Sean McManus are the colorists. Todd Klein is a letterer, and Adam Hughes is the cover art and original series covers. This graphic novel was published by Vertigo and has a total of 100 pages. This graphic novel is a compilation and was originally published in a single magazine form. The Act 1 ends on page 20, and in this act, Ali Baba finds a bottle, and when he opens it, he thought he found a genie, but actually it was an imp. So Ali Baba asks for 3 wishes, and the imp tells him that he can give him the 3 wishes, but he can give him a treasure. The treasure was a girl that was inside a goblin camp, so the imp takes Ali Baba to this place. Once inside the goblin camp, Ali Baba finds a tent with a girl, but for his surprise there were 2 girls, not just one. These 2 girls were Briar Rose, who is a Sleeping Beauty, and the Snow Queen. Ali kisses both of them, so now Sleeping Beauty is awake again by a true love kiss. The problem is that Ali Baba doesn't seem likely candidate for knowing what is true love. The Act 2 ends on page 80. In this act, Ali Baba, Briar Rose, and the imp are captured by an ice giant. This ice giant takes them to the Snow Queen's castle, as the Snow Queen is addicted to good stories, and she wants Briar Rose to tell her the story. After a few hours, the imp and the Snow Queen are left by themselves, and they make a deal. The Snow Queen won't kill him if he tells her good stories. The imp tells several stories, like Sleeping Beauty, Geppetto His Empire, and Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. The Sleeping Beauty story that is told in this graphic novel has a twist. The twist is that every time Briar Rose picks her finger, everybody will fall asleep, so as she does. Out of a sudden, Hadian arrived, as she heard her name was mentioned several times. Hadian was the one who cursed Briar Rose, and she's also known as the Destroyer. So she destroys the ice castle of the Queen. Hadian and the Snow Queen fight. In the middle of the fight, the Snow Queen remembers that by calling the names of the characters of the stories, they will appear. So she's told calling all the fairies that she remembered to help her fight against Hadian. In the meantime, Briar Rose and Ali Baba are arguing about a real, true love kiss. Briar Rose looks disappointed as she has been awakened up a million times, but it has never ended in a true love. Act 3 ends up in page 100, which is 20 pages also, like in Act 1. This Act 3 is about Briar Rose, who decides to fight too against Hadian, and she kills her. Ali stays with the Snow Queen, and Briar got a new present. She got a new car, which turns out to be actually Hadian turned into this car, which after 1,000 uses, she'll be back into her original form, and Briar Rose has to kill her. Briar leaves her car with Jonah, the imp, and in the way where they are going, they never say where they're going, he asked Briar to stop for food as he was getting hungry. For his surprise, while he was eating, Briar just leaves and he stays behind. This story starts after Briar Rose, as I already said, she's a Sleeping Beauty, was stolen by the Goblin Army. The main characters are Jonah Pankhammer, which is the blue imp, Ali Baba, Briar Rose, and the Snow Queen. The secondary characters are Hadian the Destroyer, 7 fairy godmothers, which names are Katria, Sophia, Neura, Iona, Elias, Jeva, and Lisa. This is the story of Briar Rose, Ali Baba, Jonah the Imp, and the Snow Queen, and how they relate with each other. The goal of this story is that the Snow Queen wants to catch the one who wake her up, who was Ali Baba, as she knows that he's with Briar Rose, who has an interesting story to tell, and Jonah the Imp, who also tells extraordinary stories. I think that this story has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The resolution is very satisfactory, as the main enemy, after the middle, the main enemy is Hadian, and Briar Rose transformed into the main character, and she injures Hadian until then it's transformed into a car, and then she's gonna kill her. The whole story uses the idea of the classic fables, but each fable has twists, as I mentioned before, which make them different from the original one. At the end, the antagonist, Hadian, is transformed into a way that she can't use her powers anymore, and Briar Rose, who injures Hadian, is free, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago. Okay, so I think that the main character had a very clear arc, which is Briar Rose, for example, at the beginning of the story, she's very defensive, and she feels sad for her because Alibaba decided to kiss first the Snow Queen instead of her. She said that she has been waking up a million times, but she has never been able to find true love. At the end of the story, she is happy because she vent her rage against Hadian, and she's free and she leaves. The Snow Queen has a clear act too. At the beginning of the story, she's mean and aggressive, as she's the main villain. However, at the end, she notices that she has feelings for Alibaba, who has feelings for her too, and then she changes into a seductive and romantic woman. Alibaba is the third character that has an arc. At the beginning, he wanted to have a treasure, as he found that what he thought was a genie. However, at the end, he falls for the Snow Queen and stops caring for having all the treasures of the world. The story has an effective transitions. Just once, while reading the story, at the beginning of Act 2, I got a little bit confused of what was happening. This is the image of when I got confused. As you can see, here are panels that tell one part of the story, and then in the lower part, there's the Snow Queen, but if you can see in the very little details there, the ice giants, that's why she tells Ron. At the beginning I didn't see them, I didn't understand what was happening until I had to check every single detail to understand it. It is also a little confused that while you're reading this fable story, your head is set up into back at the time when the king and queens live in castles made of stone. However, out of a sudden, there's a splash page that talks about a music group from the 60s. This is the page. Later on in the story, I understood that it was common in this graphic novel because they started mentioning about entertainment systems, DVDs, Briar Rose took out her cell phone, they had cars, etc. I can say that this graphic novel has a lot of action-to-action transition. As you can see in these images, the panels show a single subject progressing through a specific moment. So I think this graphic novel used the panels in an effective way to tell the story. I didn't see more than 4 panels trying to display one part of the story. And I also think that each page of this graphic novel can't be a standalone because it can be understood without reading the page before the page you are in that moment. The same happens with important details in the story. The reader can jump one page or he won't be able to understand some things that might happen later. I think that the story definitely makes effective the directional flow as it pulls the reader through the pages. In the same way, the reader will find himself passing the pages to go deeper in the story. Like for example, in this page, we can see the bubbles in here, then we go to this panel, this panel, this panel, and as we can see, there are bubbles here and here. The last bubble here takes us automatically to read to the next page. And then this, for example, page turner, the bubbles leads us to this page turner who obviously will turn the page. And then we have this beautiful page here. I wouldn't recommend this story to everybody in my class because I don't think everybody will like it, but I do actually will like it. As the main idea of this graphic novel is telling a story inspired from fables or fairy tales. And I didn't like in my personal opinion, I didn't like that they use the fables and adapt them to modern days with electronics, as I said before, because technology didn't exist at that time. I don't think I would recommend this specific graphic novel to my friends because I don't like they will be interested in reading fables or fairy tales with twists and new elements like technology, but I would like to introduce this graphic novel to my artist friends so they can see the beautiful pictures that you have in here, which I'm gonna show a few pictures. I noticed that there are some details in this graphic novel that we have talked about them in class. For example, there are different types of bubbles. We can see normal bubbles, whisper bubbles, and for the first time I saw a crying bubble. In the narrative, we have a few words in bold which help by giving intensity to the story. Also, what I noticed was that there are just a few sound effects. Thank you.